Well, damn it, what can I say about this? I thought we understood each other when it came to this. Before the wedding, I clearly explained what would not be acceptable in my married life, not only from my point of view, but also what she should expect from me as a partner. We clearly understood what would happen if my chosen one cheated or had secret connections with others. In one word, divorce. I didn't have the patience or humility to put up with it. I've been through it before. I'm not going to do it again. I also told her that I have no inclination to engage in partner swapping. I'm not against it. If you want to do it, cool. I won't judge, but like religion, brother, don't shove it down my throat. I also told Diane that I expect the same from my wife, no matter who she turns out to be. She understood then and said that she held the same views, cool, good for others, but not for her. We discussed other things that I considered more important, her career and where it might take her, my job prospects in 10 years, 20 years, where she would like to live now and in the future, children, and how many there will be, etc. Long story short, cheating was discussed, but wasn't the focus based on the situation, and maybe in hindsight, we should have discussed it more. One thing I said to Diane was final. If you ever feel like your relationship with me or others means a change in our marriage, tell me, Diane, don't leave me hanging, speak up. If you want to separate or get a divorce to go a different route, okay, I won't like it, but I won't force you to stay in a loveless marriage. After this speech, I felt very bad, and after a quarter of an hour, it turned into a tearful, sobbing state, accompanied by snot and drool. I looked at her and burst out laughing. She looked so damn funny. Finally, she somehow spoke, and at the same time sobbed loudly enough for me to hear. Sob like son. You can sob talk son to me. About divorce. When? You didn't even ask me to marry you, hoo-hoo. I didn't have to think long. Diane, I really want you to become my wife. I promise to love you forever. My name is Matt Phillips. I'm 27 years old. I'm quite tall, 6'3" inches, and in good shape as I'm a self-employed truck driver. In short, I drive mostly refrigerated trailers for a national logistics company. Our business, I say our because Diane is as involved in the business from a support standpoint as anyone other than the drivers. She finds time to do some administrative tasks, billing, legal issues, and if she's not working, she answers business calls and emails. We have an accountant for tax services, but Diane maintains spreadsheets of our business and related expenses, which has allowed us to improve our time use and reduce costs. Diane works full-time for a national chain of DIY stores as an assistant manager. The local branch is not large, but is efficient and has a good understanding of what its customers want and who they are. She started working there as a teenager, serving customers and working the cash register. After college, she went to the Advanced Training and Trade Institute in the city and enrolled in courses in sales, junior management, advanced computer skills for small businesses, and accounting. She has diplomas of different levels, which we proudly display in the living room. I married Diane Edith Jones 3.5 years ago, and despite everything that has happened in our lives recently, I love and trust her unconditionally. Diane and I have known each other since college, albeit from a distance. We had mutual friends and on many occasions found ourselves at the same events and parties at different times, both during our youth and after high school. We were both at Ted and Karen Borthwick's barbecue, and Karen asked if we would be interested in partnering up for bowling the following weekend. We looked at each other and decided on the spot, why not? That's when we started dating. We had both just gotten out of relationships that weren't meant to be, and neither of us had any intention of getting into another relationship anytime soon. Also, I liked her family. Two of her brothers were in college at the same time as us. I knew she still had fans. We ran into each other a couple of times when she was on a date. It wasn't a problem because we had no real commitment. It was a really good friendship, so well done to her. I started to come out of my vulnerable stage by the time 2 months of dating had passed, and by the third month, we were seeing each other 3-4 times a week, and I was a little sorry that she was dating other guys. But, well, that's life, I guess. We had been dating for about 4 months when Ted and Karen invited us all back to a barbecue and the whole gang showed up. Tom and Karen Squires were there with Karen's younger sister, Samantha. A very young version of her older sister, wow, with legs, is what I thought of first. Blonde, with curves, good breasts, a beautiful face, and a dazzling smile, I was fascinated. It would take a long time to tell, but we talked and laughed a lot and seemed to get along great. Diane was there with a guy I had seen with her a couple of months ago, and because I was busy with work, we hadn't seen each other for a while, well, about 2 weeks actually. Anyway, it was nice to see her, and she introduced me to Carl, her friend, and we got along well. Samantha came up to me, and I introduced Diane and Carl to her. I noticed Carl had a curious look on his face as the two girls got to know each other, but I didn't pay much attention to their facial expressions. Oh well, I'm sure it's just nerves and the newness of it all. Get on with the party. Diane and Carl went off to hang out, and me and my new best friend continued to get to know each other. Apparently, I was the only single guy there. Hooray for me. We started planning a meeting when I felt like someone was watching me. I looked up and saw Karen Squires and Karen Borthwick both looking at me, but it wasn't a problem. The problem was that Karen had a terrible expression on her face, and Karen had a look that would kill if it could. Wait a minute, what the hell did I do? What did Samantha do? Samantha must have caught it when she saw my expression and saw that I was looking at her. Her sister quickly looked away, obviously upset, but Karen continued to look in our direction with the same fixed gaze at Samantha or me, or I started to think about both of us. Samantha said quietly, "Matt, I think I better go and see what's wrong with my sister, okay?" "Yes, yes, go let me know what happened yourself." I approached the guys and started talking to them, trying to understand what was happening. Karen and Sam seemed to be in deep conversation while Karen disappeared from view. Some time later, Sam came up to me and asked to talk privately. "Matt, it was really nice meeting you, and I'm really, really sorry if I hurt your relationship with your friends. I never wanted this. I'm really sorry. Look, Karen isn't feeling well, so I think we need to go home. Bye, Matt." She had a forced smile on her face as she leaned in and kissed me, turned around, and walked away. Wait a minute, what just happened? What the hell just happened? Another one? The empty bottle was snatched from my hands. A second later, it was full in my hands. I haven't moved since Sam kissed me. Looks like we're both going home alone today, huh, Matt? Yeah, sorry, Carl. Damn, man, thanks. Look, Carl, I think I'm just freaked out. I don't know what the hell is going on. Wait a minute. Carl, what do you mean alone? Where is Diane? Dude, she loves you. What's in this beer? What the hell is going on, and what the hell is this clown talking about? What? Who loves what? Jesus, Maine. Diane. She loves you. Are you the biggest idiot on the planet? What could be said? Considering the last few minutes, I agree with you, Carl. I'm probably the biggest idiot on the planet. I looked around and saw 5 or 6 pairs of eyes watching what was happening. Most of my friends had big grins on their faces, and it all became clear right away. All, straight away. Damn it. Carl, just a minute. I took him to where we had some privacy. Okay, I don't know what's going on, how you feel about what's happening. Matt, there was never, anything intimate between me and Diane. Yeah, that's not what I'm asking. But I know that you and Diane were in a relationship for about 4 months. And how is it now? His face lit up with a wry smile. I know Diane's brother, Jim. Well, she recruited me. Recruited, Carl? What do you mean recruited? Diane and Karen thought that if you saw me with Diane, you would get jealous and do something. You came up with this idea yourself, right? Look, Matt, I'm really sorry about the scene earlier, but she's crazy about you, man. It's fucking disgusting. And besides, I really enjoy your company. Good guys, good times, you know what I mean? Sorry again. Matt, go find her. How's the beer? No, it's okay, dude. I stood there, contemplating what was happening, and watched as Carl joined the friendly group, and was confident that by the end of the party, any residual tension in Carl would disappear. Where I was, my head hurt, and I was sober. This is not right. Jesus. Samantha, Diane, and Bloody Karen Borthwick, in that order. No, wait, Bloody Karen Borthwick now. I walked up to the house. I haven't seen Karen since she hooked up with Karen and Sam. When I entered the kitchen, Karen was standing at the sink, washing dishes. She turned and saw me looking at her. She burst into tears. I walked up, hugged her, and pulled her close to me. She finally stammered, "Sorry." "SHH, don't be sorry. You took care of Diane like you took care of me a year ago. Do you think I would have gotten through this without you and Ted? You have nothing to apologize for." Ted stood in the doorway, not knowing what to do. I let go of his wife, pulled her towards him, wrapped his arms around her, kissed the back of her head, and went to the bathroom upstairs. I looked down at my feet as I walked up the stairs, but I didn't really see anything. And so, when I reached the top, two bare feet came into view. No, actually two very beautiful bare feet came into view, followed by beautiful, cute legs, then a beautiful waist, a flat stomach, a well-defined chest, and that face that I had come to know so well over the past few months. She stands 5'7.5" barefoot. Her long, slender arms hung at her sides. I touched her forehead. Her shoulder-length hair was brown, silky to the touch, and her eyes were a sparkling emerald green. We stood there just looking at each other for a few minutes. She was wearing what looked like a nightgown or maybe a slip. I realized that I had never seen her in a dress. I don't remember when, maybe never. Wait, didn't I see her in a bikini? Damn, I can't remember this. What the heck? Here was this stunningly beautiful woman I had never seen before. A woman who hid under clothes that emphasized her. It was always jeans, not tight jeans, but work jeans or suits, always dark in color, neat, but never giving the viewer any idea of what was underneath. Shoes or work boots, never heels or stilettos or anything sexy. I put my finger to her lips. "You don't have to say that. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I thought you were busy. I thought about us, like you and me. But when I saw you with Carl, I put it aside. You deserve a good relationship without me in the picture. I was using Carl, hoping you'd get jealous and try to win me back. Like, save me, God, I ruined this, didn't I?" "Okay, Diane, if that's true, why are we standing at the top of the stairs and you're in combination? Sorry for being an idiot, but I think this is finally going well. Just a guess, Diane." "Matt, what are you saying?" "Diane Jones, would you consider becoming my soulmate solely with the prospect of becoming my wife one day?" Crap. Making women cry. Not something to include on a resume. So that's it. Well, not really, not that evening. Karen wouldn't let Diane go home and said she would stay here, so she was in the guest room when she heard Karen crying. She was listening on the stairs as I went up and froze. We kissed and hugged and decided to find out how Karen was. We decided it might be worth looking into a few pressing issues that the three of us had accidentally caused. The first is to apologize to Sam for a situation in which she was not involved. Karen and Amanda Palmer actually worked it out. Amanda, who rarely drinks, went to the Squires and ordered them and their children into her van and brought them back to the barbecue. Behind closed doors, Karen and Diane practically begged them to forgive them for what they put Karen and Sam through. Tom is as dumb as I am because he didn't even realize what was going on until he was forced into Amanda's van to go back. They were still trying to explain the details to him when they were about to leave for the second time. Ha, stupid. I told Sam I was glad she was back, and I really enjoyed her company. She was a little sad about everything, right up until the moment I introduced her to Carl again. I just left after that. An hour later, I saw Carl, and his smile was a mile wide. I shouldn't drive trucks. Anyway, the after-party at my house was amazing. Well, amazing. I think we finally got up at 3 p.m. the next day. I grew up in the city where we live now. My mom and dad still live here and intend to stay in the family home as long as they are healthy and strong. Since Diane and I had bought a 2-acre lot on the outskirts of town with a town road running along the longest stretch of it, We had been discussing the possibility of building a small house for my parents when their property became too big for them. And also Diane had been thinking, what if she can convince her parents to move? Perhaps there will be two houses on the site instead of one. Our moms also became quite friendly after we got married. I felt like my mom always looked down on her whenever the Jones family was mentioned. But now I see the level of respect she has for Eddie, and she has come to love and appreciate her daughter-in-law. I don't have any problem with them all living here, except that our fathers will live next to each other. It's not that bad, but sometimes I wish it wasn't so. There is a story that a very good friend told me when I told him about the last adventure of our fathers. LS, he's in the military, and he said there's a story in the military that goes something like this. When you have one person working, your whole brain is working. When you have two people working, you have half your brain working. Four people. Well, you get the idea. In any case, after their last adventure, our fathers escaped arrest by a hair's breadth. Hell, I've never gotten off that easy for anything as crazy as what these two old goats did. Yeah, I won't tell, so don't ask. Goats deserve their privacy too. And the whole town thought it was funny, except for 5 people, Diane, me, and the local police. Even after all this, did the two old bastards get a reprimand? Oh no, the cops came to us and asked us to, if possible, slow down a little, and if you don't, and we don't see an improvement in your actions, then action will be taken to ensure that this situation no longer will not be repeated. I thought Diane was going to explode. Who is on? I managed to cover my dear wife's mouth with my hand before the next word left my lips and pulled her through the door back, closing it with my foot. I shouted, "We have to go. Find a way out yourself." Diane was unhappy. I locked her in the bedroom. She looked at me with displeasure all night. I was silent. I swear she planned to kill me in my sleep. We were both so angry about the situation that we did nothing. No, wait, we did something. We gathered their wives, our mothers, and preached morals to them. We told them that their husbands, our fathers, should stop such antics. Diane told her mother, "Mom, I know it was a joke, but from our point of view, it's not funny. Dad needs to stop doing things like that just because he can." Her mother, Eddie, responded that Jack had learned his lesson and wouldn't do it again. And besides, we don't have a goat anymore. And both mothers giggled. This is all. I stared at my mother and said, "I don't know what's funny to you, Mom. It's obvious that your husband followed Jack without question. You must have married a sheep." Eddie replied, "Matt, that's not true. No sheep could do that to a goat." And both mothers burst out laughing. "It's not funny, Mom," Diane noted. "I have an older brother, Wayne, and a sister, Sue, both married and living in the city." Diane was born and raised in a small village 9 kilometers from here. Her parents, Jack and Eddie, own a dairy farm on the outskirts of the village. They have 4 sons, and Diane, the youngest, is Jack's favorite daughter. 2 of the sons work on the farm, the third owns and operates a local auto repair shop in the village, and the fourth works as a truck driver for the same company as me, although he lives in the city. The 2 sons on the farm are married. Jim, a mechanic, loves all women, so you get the idea, and Keith, a truck driver, is engaged to his longtime girlfriend. Diane is a bit of a tomboy, although she has become more feminine as she gets older. This was because despite everything I said about my father-in-law, it was nothing compared to what I really thought about Jack. He was and continues to be a great father to his entire family, especially Diane. Even before Diane and I started dating, and right up until my early school years, everyone knew that Jack Jones was a legend. 2 kilometers from the city border, there is a road that leads to the river and one of the local bathing places, 2 kilometers further. Half a kilometer from the bend stood an old sawmill, which the county had converted into a warehouse for river metal, road gravel, etc. About 28 years ago, the land was put up for sale, and since it was covered with the remains of a sawmill and was also used as a trash dump and gravel storage area, it attracted little interest. A local businessman who had recently moved out of town and was involved with the town's speedway saw the potential to develop the land into a small quarter-mile oval dirt track. he received approval from the council as he intended to involve and serve the youth of the surrounding areas with the planned racing classes. The track soon had a club, committee, president, and members. After 3 years, the businessman realized that he had underestimated the success of the enterprise and the time required to run it, and eventually sold the track, land, and everything else to the club. From the very beginning, one of the favorite classes of racing was the street stock class, and one of the most beloved and respected drivers was Jack Jones. Now, you may think that loved is too strong a word, but if you have ever been around the Jones team, you would have noticed the number of strangers that gather around the Jones team. I was 18 years old, and one Sunday afternoon when I had nothing to do, I decided to go to the track when suddenly my mother announced that she was going with me, something she hadn't done since Wayne and Sue were little. My dad was so surprised that he went fishing. We were in the maintenance area when I asked Mom what women saw in Jack. Looking at the ground, she muttered, "Jack Jones has to grow up. That's what Jack Jones has to do." Well, okay, good to know. I guess we just spent the last 10 minutes looking at Jack Jones in the maintenance area. No fewer than 8 track championship trophies were displayed in the Joneses' trophy cabinet, 5 of them won by Jack himself. Diane loved everything about her life. She did her farm duties with the boys, worked on cars, helped build them, fix them, paint them, you name it, she did it. She also works for the club and is a female driver representative. The club has 18 adult female drivers in 3 classes and a street stock representative on the track, as well as attracting sponsors for various events. When we first started dating, I told Diane that her life was like a country song. She grew up on a farm and raced on a dirt track, and now wants to date a truck driver. The only thing missing is a hound dog. One of her other talents is a strong right hand to the shoulder, and she races very, very well. Her racing skills are exceptional. I watched her go into the corner, looking at the exit of the next corner, trying to determine what line she might take for the next corner and what difficulties might arise on the exit. I've seen idiots go into a corner not knowing the car has stopped coming out of the corner until they hit it. We still have her last car. She still needs to decide if she wants to race this season. This car is the second car we've built together, and as it turns out, it might be our last. The business sponsors the car, and many of the expenses are charged to the business. She achieved success, and over the past 4 seasons has twice become vice champion of the track. We put effort into preparing the car for the final assault on the championship this season, or at the very least, to sell the car. Selling the car was her idea because she urgently wanted to be a mother now. I told her just 4 weeks ago that I would let her make the final decision, as she had always said that when the time came she would want to be a mom. Even after the kids went to school, she saw her life as similar to what her mom did, being a strong matriarch for her family. Ultimately, Diane had to be the one to make such an important decision. One of the other factors that greatly affected Diane is her father's battle with chronic arthritis, which is getting worse, and her mother's battle with cancer. Eddie's cancer is in remission because she responded quickly to the first signs, and intensive treatment of 6-9 months was successful, with follow-up checks. I love Eddie as a mother and a person. If there were ever a clear example of yin and yang, Jack and Eddie are it. All of their boys adore their mom and their sister, and even us sons-in-law are just caught up in the Jones effect, as our daughter-in-law, Katie, calls it. So what went wrong? At the moment, I don't know, but I'm going to find out, and chronologically, you guys can join the ride if you want. Next thing I know is that, first of all, our sex life has always been very good from the very beginning of our dating. I think part of the reason was that we knew who we had both dated before because we were in the same company. We all got along well, none of us were too aggressive in our views. Don't get me wrong, we knew we were all having some kind of sex with our girlfriends or boyfriends. It just wasn't that big of a deal, and none of us felt he needed details. In fact, we are still in touch with a few of our friends from college, but none of them are ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends, which in my case is fine. Let her rot in hell. Anyway, our sex life is fun. We've tried almost everything. We don't plan anything about sex, meaning we take it as it comes and try not to put pressure on the outcome. My sister and Diane joked about it one day, and Sue cynically remarked that everything will change when you have children. Have I already mentioned that I hate my sister? There are other things we were thinking about. One of them was visiting the Partner Exchange Club. Yes. Why? Well, it's selfish to watch others have sex, and maybe have sex ourselves, but only with each other. I haven't really considered it because, again, it's a lot of work for something like that, while the night quietly ticks away, and also the risk of someone seeing my bare butt doesn't appeal to me. Whether I could cope with my fears that someone would see Diane undressed, even partially naked, was not something I even considered, as I had mentally crossed out the idea. Now, looking back, I'm not sure if Diane came to the same conclusion or not. We didn't really discuss it. For the past 6 weeks, I have been flying the same distances as usual, but not halfway and returning home, meaning I have been moving on. So I had to stay overnight and come back the next day. What I was transporting had to arrive at its destination without delay as it was then being sent by air overseas, and it was decided to waive return travel time because what we were shipping was a seasonal product 12 to 14 weeks, and it's over. Twice in those 6 weeks, I didn't have a return load the next day. The load on my normal route still goes regardless of my new route, so that meant another day of delay while I was doing local deliveries or working in the warehouse. Has this new pattern disrupted our lives? I thought not, but I guess I was wrong. Were there any signs of a problem? And that's where I have a low tolerance for anything related to infidelity. You just don't know. You're reviewing everything you and your partner have done in the last year. You analyze, you overanalyze. You criticize everything she said, you criticize everything you said. You try to remember every minute, every movement, every gesture, every reaction to your touch. Every minute she wasn't where she was supposed to be. And very slowly, it starts to decay, fall apart, fucking rot. The trust just goes away. Yeah, I have a t-shirt, I have wounds. Today, I received a message from Karin. What are we planning for Diane's 25th birthday, as she has suggestions? A surprise party at Valentino, a BBQ by their pool, or renting out the track club room for a big party or whatever. Let me know, and let's do it. I replied, I'll be home tonight. I'll call you after 7. In fact, Diane wasn't expecting me at home. I called her last night and told her there wouldn't be a load for me until tomorrow. This afternoon, I was asked to take a nearly empty trailer for an afternoon trip tomorrow to replace one that had a major problem today and would not be available tomorrow. Instead of staying another night in the driver's dorm, eating out of a can, watching crap on TV, yes, it was a definite option, light load, everything paid for, and fuel, so I filled up and drove home. Home just after 6, if you're lucky, cool. I was no more than 25 kilometers from home. I stopped to see if another driver needed help changing a tire. He was fine, jumped into his car, and noticed a text had come through half an hour ago. Nothing unusual. If I'm driving, I usually stop every hour or so and check my phone. Today, I decided to move on and quit. Phone into the console and forgot about it. I read the message, and it was from John Crane. John and his wife Babs moved to our city about 2 years ago with their 3 children. I think they are in their early 30s, and while Babs is a mother and wife, John is the sales manager at a lot diamond machinery in town. They deal with tractors, logging and earth-moving equipment, and heavy equipment. I got on well with John, and he liked him. He was straightforward, no nonsense. Plus, he was able to supply us with motor oil and filters for our truck at a slightly lower cost than the filter and oil manufacturer. Plus, our bulk oil order did not include the shipping costs that the manufacturer charges. Diane adores their children, and when we were able to meet, we all enjoyed each other's company. It's been 6 months since we saw the Cranes. In any case, the message from John simply read, Matt, please call back urgently, J. I replied, okay, home at 6 m. Before I even had time to turn it on, the phone rang. John, I assumed, or maybe Diane. Hi, this is Matt speaking. Matt, it's John. Where are you? Just crossed Marker's Bridge, John. Oh, great. I'm in the Valentino parking lot, Matt. I'm actually in the car. I'm watching Diane. She's having lunch with Tyrone Marston. Matt, to be blunt, you need to get here now, okay? Hello, you there, Matt? Matt. Yeah, I'm here, John. I'm just a little busy, but you're on speaker while I drive. Did you hear what I said? Will you come here? Yes, I'll come. I'll be there in half an hour. No more, John. I heard everything you said, and I'm going. How are you? I mean, why are you? Damn, John, I'll kill no. I won't kill her. I'll kill him, or both of them. Taylor's Crossing marks the start of a 15 kilometers, relatively straight stretch of road with a few gentle turns every 5 kilometers to keep you awake. I should be able to go 100 kilometers per h without too much trouble, turn up the volume on the radio, and stay alert. Listen, Matt, nothing happened the last 2 times, and I hope nothing happens this time. But Phillida was with them the last 2 times. She's not here this time. Straight to the point. Thanks, John. No more surprises. Actually, there is one. What the hell is going on between my wife and Tyrone and Phillida Marsden? John, why are you following my wife? No answer. John, are you there? Silence? Crap. Why am I driving 120 kilometers per h? Slow down, fool. John. Yes, I hear you, Matt. I'm not following Diane. I'm following that bastard Marsden. He slept with my beautiful wife. He ruined my marriage. He tore my family apart. I will make him and his whore wife pay, and I will not stand by while he ruin another marriage. Oh, crap. John, please hold on. I'm almost there. Don't do anything until I get there. Keep an eye on them if you want, but don't touch him, at least until I get there, okay? I thought, after this, you might have to stop me from killing this asshole. That's ironic. Jesus, I still haven't slowed down, you son of a bitch. 2 kilometers from home, light traffic. House, stop. Turn off the engine. Wallet, telephone. Lock the truck. Take the keys. Start. Let's go. Matt, are you there? Hell, I didn't even turn it off. Yeah, John, I'm in my truck, maybe 2 minutes from here. You okay, buddy? Down Green Road, right on to Eastview Street. Yeah, yes, Matt, I'm fine. Eastview Street, left on Columbus Road. John, where's Babs? Where are your kids? Where's your family? Mitchell Place, Harper Street, next turn. Home, or at least where home used to be, only I'm not there anymore. Straight onto Sheriff Road. How long has it been, John? 1, 2, next turn. 4 long weeks. It seems like a lifetime. I miss them terribly. I looked into his car at the sad figure staring into space. Hang up, John. I'm here. Looking out at the restaurant through the large windows, I could see Marsden and my wife sitting on the inside row behind a large dividing wall separating them from the rest of the restaurant. The inner row also meant that unless you knew who to look for, you probably wouldn't recognize them unless they were sitting on the outer row by the window. We didn't have much time left, and to be honest, I was more concerned about John's condition at the moment. I jumped into his car. This should have shocked him. Matt, what are you doing? I can see everything from here. I'll deal with them in a minute. I care about you. You need friends, and I'm here. I'm lost, Matt, and I lost her. I'm walking around in a fog. Alcohol doesn't help anymore. I can't concentrate on work. I'm fucking crying like a girl. I hate myself. I hate her. I'm fucking angry for no reason. And on top of that, I think she's still dating him or them. A week ago, I came home and decided we needed to talk, and this bastard's car was parked in front of my damn house, Matt. I almost lost it. I had to turn around and leave. I knew that I would probably end up burying my wife. How did it start? Do you know, and can you tell me? No, wait, watch before you say anything. If you think I'm crossing the line, tell me to shut up or fuck off or something, okay? I don't know if you know about my story, but this happened to me and Diane separately a year before we got together. I will always be grateful to Ted and Corin for what they did for me too. Diane, so if I can help, just say the word. Yeah, no, Matt. I don't have a problem with you knowing the details. There's not much to say, and I'm sure you know some of them. Know about Marsden and his wife anyway. I shook my head. I had no idea what he was talking about. Oh, really, Matt? You never knew they switched partners. The son of a leper bitch on a motorcycle. Bastard. Wait, who else knew or didn't know? John, you know? Well, according to Marsden, all the women in our group knew, and some of our friends did. Oh, John, forget I asked. I really don't want to know. Wait, Amanda and LS, they knew, didn't they? They figured it out, didn't they? Yeah, you're right. And when Bubs told Amanda about going to their club, just to look and see without the pressure of getting involved, Amanda got mad at Bubs and told her that it was just a ploy to get us in, that we were fools, and why risk our marriage like that, Matt? She was cruel. Now all I want to do is go to Amanda and apologize for not listening to her from the beginning. I looked at my wife with this bastard in the restaurant and thought, now I know where this idea of visiting a partner exchange club to watch came from. She thought about it all and inserted it into the conversation. In fact, it had to be done very subtly because I convinced myself that it was my idea. But then I objected in the first place. No. Why? Because it wasn't about partners swapping like John and Babs. It was about the fact that Marston is a predator. So you went to the club with them? Yes, let's go once, and it was enough to destroy our marriage. But how did it go wrong? I thought there was no pressure to do anything. Well, I guess it would have been fine if we hadn't both gotten carried away, and although we were quite happy to have warmed up, I think Marston was hoping he could tempt Babs into more if the opportunity arose. Anyway, we went into the private room, and I told Babs I needed to step away for a minute. I wanted to go to the toilet. I came out and Phillida was standing there. She asked how we liked it. We chatted a little, and I told her that we decided, but said that although we were intrigued, we had no plans to participate in it. It was nice, but not something we wanted to continue. She had a strange look on her face, which I now understand as devious, the smirk hidden behind the smile. I see that damn look every time I fall asleep. She wanted to show me one of the rooms where there is a jacuzzi and a sauna, and she said that I should bring Babs there to look. I fucking panicked, God. I was gone for 10 minutes. I left Babs alone. Phillida tried to stop me, saying I don't need to rush, Matt. I don't need to explain the rest, right? I was heartbroken. I tore that bastard away from my wife, but it was too late. I went crazy at her, what she was doing, and called her a woman of easy virtue. She asked what she did wrong. I said I couldn't believe she just gave away our love like that. She said Marsden told her his wife and I were doing the same thing. She realized that this was not so. She got dressed. Marsden disappeared, and we never saw him or his wife again that night. We didn't say a word in the car on the way home. She didn't look me in the eye. She went into the shower and stayed there for the next hour or more. I don't know exactly. I curled up and must have dozed off. I remember how she tried to hug me. I told her to fuck off. She needed to get tested for illnesses and then go get her morning after pill tomorrow. She got up and left. I think she slept in the guest room. She went to the on-call pharmacy on Sunday and called to make an appointment for a disease test on Monday. I moved out the same day. Tyrone and Phillida Marsden moved here just over a year ago. They were older than most of our group, with the exception of LS and Amanda Palmer, both in their 40s. In fact, LS and Amanda were immediately disliked by them and could barely hold a conversation with them. When someone asked Amanda about their indifference towards the Marsdens, she would tell everyone not to worry because she was going to leave any place or event they came to, so we won't be embarrassed by the Palmers' behavior. Well, it couldn't last, and I don't know whether it was a subconscious decision or not, but invitations to the Marsdens were no longer offered. He still worked in the city, but also had a home office, which meant he rarely needed to travel. I don't know much about what he did other than finance. They actually started throwing their own parties, and we received several invitations that we never accepted. We were actually thinking about the pool party they were throwing a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know them well, maybe a little weird, I thought, but anyway, I had a layover and didn't get home until Sunday evening. Well, at least I didn't go to the Marstons. Tyrone and Diane looked completely taken with each other and seemed to have finished with desserts and moved on to coffee and liqueurs. John wanted to go to a restaurant with me, and although I reluctantly agreed, he would definitely be helpful. I told him if I lose my temper and get physical to make sure Diane is okay, and if it gets too bad to just call the cops. I think he thought we had switched roles and were in some kind of time anomaly because, honestly, he shook his head no and said, okay. I just came to surprise my wife for her lunch with her brother. I lied to the waitress. Oh, good, she answered. We were still walking towards the corner of the partition, so they couldn't see us. I slowed down to listen to the conversation. I actually heard her say, look, I'm not saying Matt won't agree, but if you're not honest about what we're planning, there's going to be a big scandal, and you really don't want to see that. Besides, I know I can't handle partner swapping without going crazy, maybe one step at a time. Diane looked at the table and spoke at the same time. Tyrone saw me first, then he saw John. He almost swallowed his tongue. Don't worry, honey, Tyrone knows how to make this madness go away. Just ask John or Babs. Isn't that right, Tyrone? This asshole was looking for an escape route. Do you want to go out, Tyrone? Nodding quickly, he must have gathered his strength. Ah, yes, Diane, I better go. I raised my finger and he shut up. Since when do you have the right to call my wife Diane? She's my wife for at least the next 10 minutes, and since it's just a late business lunch, you need to do 3 things. First, pay the entire food bill on the way out. I'm sure John wouldn't mind accompanying you to make sure it's done. Secondly, is this your phone? I grabbed his phone before he even realized what was happening, and while I continued talking. Wait a minute, you can't do that. John walked into the bastard's line of sight. I flipped through his phone book, and there was my wife's phone number. I opened his call history. That's all I needed to know. Give me your phone, Diane. She handed me her phone, not daring to raise her head, not daring to speak. In fact, they had the same phones. I removed the back cover of that bastard's phone and pulled out the SIM card. I put it in my pocket and returned the phone to him. I said, "Third, send me the bill for the new card." I leaned over and moved closer to him so he could see me face to face. Now, regarding your last words to my wife, since this is the last time you will speak to Diane, let's hear it. Yeah, well, Diane, I held up a finger. No, too personal. Let's try again. He looked down, thought for about 15 seconds, finally, without looking at anyone. Mrs. Phillips, I'm sorry for wasting so much of your time. I hope I didn't offend you or your husband in any way. If I did, I sincerely apologize. I wish have a happy life for you and your husband. He stood up, quietly and calmly put the chair in place. His hands were noticeably shaking. He knew that he should not look us in the eyes. He turned and slowly began to walk away. What about my life, my wife, bastard? He stopped and half-turned, looking at the floor. I said, "Wait, Marston, answer the man. You owe him at least this. How are you going to fix your life when you not only seduced his wife, while your wife stopped him from saving her? You destroyed his trust in his so-called friends. And what's worse, you made her a child. You killed all the love he had for his wife in less than 5 minutes." Marston slowly continued walking. He turned, "I'm sorry, John, We completely misunderstood the situation. I can't say anything more, it just won't fix it. If I could repeat that night. If it's any consolation, Phillida came to your wife and tried to help her with children. We can't have children, so she saw that we ruined Matt. That's why we worked with Diane, because we didn't want to cause the same problems in your marriage. John, Phillida is yours, if you want revenge." I couldn't fucking believe it. Enough already, this is your decision. Really? Just get out. John told the bastard, "Go and pay your bill." I looked at Diane. I swear she has aged 10 years since yesterday. Come on, honey, let's go home. We reached her car and a flood of tears began to flow. John walked to his car. I put Diane in the passenger seat and walked towards him. "I'll meet you at my house, okay?" "Look, Matt, I think I'll say no. I'm booked at Fern's Hotel for the night. You have a lot to do with Diane today, so. It's not a proposal, and besides, Diane won't be home today. I'll see you soon. Come on, honey, we're almost home, don't cry. I drove up to the house, pulled the almost lifeless Diane out of the car, and carried her inside. I carried her to our bedroom, took off her dress and shoes, and put her in our bed, covered her up, told her I would make her a cup of tea. She didn't say anything. I told John to make himself at home, brought him a beer, gave him the TV remote, showed him to his room, and made Diane tea. When I returned, she was looking at the ceiling. I knew it was wrong. From the first word they said, I knew it was wrong. I knew when Babs and Sue and Joy said Phillida was trying to talk to them about swapping partners. I knew it was wrong. I knew when I implied it was wrong. I knew when I listened to Tyrone and Phillida that it was wrong. I knew when Karin and Amanda said it was wrong to do this in a marriage, they were right, it was wrong. Knew every time I met them without your knowledge that it was wrong. Remember when we received an invitation to their party and we didn't go, it was because I knew it was wrong. When Phillida asked me to go see the club without you and I said no, it was because I knew it was wrong. When Tyrone started sending me messages with little proposals to get you on his side, I knew it was wrong. I'm so ashamed, I'm so disappointed in myself, I feel dirty, I hate everything I've become. I knew the rules, and I broke them because of what I became and my selfishness, and now I've ruined our marriage. I looked at her, she looked at me. I said, so how long have you been having sex with them or anyone else? What? Who? Did you hear? I didn't cheat, Matt. I didn't have sex with anyone other than you. Matt, what are you talking about? No, no. Matt, please, you know I didn't do it. You know I couldn't. Say you know I didn't do it. Please tell me you haven't lost faith in me. I know. I've done things that destroyed our marriage, but not this, never this, not for anyone, not this, I can't. No, Matt, I can't just give this away, Matt, please. She burst into tears. I let her cry, but asked, what do you mean, I can't give it away? What? What? Do you mean I can't give it away, that I can't give it away? Oh, it's me, my body that stands before you, begging for forgiveness, Matt. It's not mine to just give away, it's the law. So what were you planning with the Marstons? Well, go check it out. No sex with strangers, no getting naked. I'm not even confident in a swimsuit, let alone naked, no hot tubs, no saunas. So what about the comment about partner swapping and you panicking and step-by-step blah blah blah? What was that? He asked me if he insisted on swapping partners with another woman in a club. How would I take it? And I said I would panic, but really, honey, I couldn't. It would break my heart, darling. It would kill me to look at it. I couldn't do it. Sorry, Matt. Diane. Matt, your home phone rang, and I answered because I heard it switch to a message, and it was Karin, and I think she was angry. And when I answered, and she found out it was me, well, she asked all these questions about me and Babs and you guys, and his hand was covering the receiver, but the chatter on the phone was unmistakable. I looked at Diane and said, don't worry, I won't say anything. Okay. Hi, Karin. Don't greet me, Karin. What's going on, Matt? Where's Diane? Oh, and what's John doing at your place, and why isn't he? Karin, honey, shut up. Diane is here, okay? You can give me 2 minutes, Karin, and I'll call you back, okay? Trust me, I'll call you back. I turned off the phone. I looked at John, then at Diane. Diane said what we were all thinking. Damn, we should probably explain this, Matt. Damon, I need to change. Where are my jeans? Honey, I need a t-shirt. I looked at John. How do you feel about this, John? She'll be tough, won't she? I simply nodded. I dialed her number. Hello. Listen, Karin, do you want to come and... It's too late, I'm on my way. Click, the call is over. Ah, damn. Diane and John were on the chopping block, and they knew it. Ugh, it was bad for all of us. We all got it. Tad was caught up in it, and for a moment he thought he was going to get it until Diane opened her mouth, and that took the attention away from Tad. It was long and drawn out, and everything was checked twice, but that wasn't the worst part. Amanda knew. Double wow. As it turned out, LS got takeout from the fish store on Sheriff Road, across from and down the street from Valentino. The Marstons drove a distinctive Mercedes SUV, while my wife drove a Mazda 6 station wagon with a racing logo decal on the rear window. Both cars were parked in front of the restaurant. Ellis assumed both families were having dinner at Valentino. Imagine his surprise when he was walking home along Sheriff Road with hot fish and chips and saw me and John heading towards the side entrance of the restaurant. So what does a big, strong military man do when he gets home? Does he keep what he saw with him, maybe remember it for the future, or does he say to himself, "I'll have to ask Matt about that next time I see him"? No, he doesn't. He goes home and tells everything to the one person who is supposed to be working for their intelligence, Amanda. I calculated the time frame it took for Amanda and Karin to get a basic understanding of what was happening. Now Amanda knew that she would not be able to get an answer from Phillida, and anyway, she was probably in the restaurant, she thought. John didn't really explain anything about where he fit in. Then she realized Babs, and from there the pieces began to fit together, albeit roughly. Haven't seen Babs or John. Babs was talking about going to the club. Matt is staying the night because of work. Diane's birthday is coming up. Of course, subsequent phone calls from Karin, and then Babs' tears, and it became clear enough that both Karin and Amanda feared the worst for Diane. Anyway, as far as I can tell, I arrived at Valentino at 6:05 p.m. and Karin called my home phone at 7:03 p.m. Ha, we're all overrated in our old jobs. Anyway, Amanda was with Babs, helping as only Amanda knows how. When Karin learned that Diane hadn't done anything dirty, you could see some of the stress disappear from her face. She had a friend back where she belonged. Tad spoke to John the only way he knew how. He listened and spoke when asked and cared that there was nothing showy about Tad. Karin spoke quietly to Diane in our bedroom while I served coffee and beer to anyone who needed it. The house phone rang once. It was Amanda, and she was having a hard time keeping the emotion out of her voice, and I realized she probably didn't know what was going on unless the girls texted her, and I left Diane's phone in her car, so I assumed that Karin must have turned it off. So I explained to Amanda, and I could tell the stress was leaving her voice, and she said, "Thank God for that. That's one for us." I asked how Babs was going, and she simply said, "It's going." She continued, "Actually, I need your help. How do you think John is now, and will he meet Babs yet?" Look, Amanda, I don't know. After today with Marston and how we humiliated him, I was under the impression that John might get some sleep tonight. Matt, what do you mean by humiliating Marsden? Is he alive? I explained, told her about Marsden's apology to John and how he took responsibility for the destruction of their marriage. Amanda snorted, "That was generous of him." She nearly exploded when I told her that he had offered Phillid to John if he wanted revenge. "How the hell is this supposed to fix their marriage?" she exploded. "Okay, let me see how John is doing. Tad has been with him for the last half hour or so, and John is talking a lot. Tad might want to compare notes with you, or I'll text you." There was one more thing I needed to ask. "Amanda, I need your thoughts on one more thing, and I told Diane that she wouldn't be sleeping at home tonight, and—" No, 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 Amanda, listen. Women. Anyway, after Amanda came out of her skin, I explained what I was thinking, and she thought it was a good idea. All I had to do was convince Diane of it. Well, Diane and Karin. I went into our bedroom and Karin looked down, burning a hole in the floor, while Diane stood against the wall and cried, shaking her head. I walked up to Diane and hugged her. "Hey, come on, it's not that bad. Well, it's bad, but we can handle it." Note to self, when you're being stupid, shut up. "Well, isn't that generous of you?" Karin intervened. "Sorry." "What?" Karin. I said, "Isn't that generous of you?" "I don't understand. Explain." "You're ending your marriage over this? Really?" No, I'm not tearing it up. Why? Why? No, you tell me why, buddy. Damn, wait. Why? What? I looked at Corin, looked at Diane, who was wrapping a wet handkerchief around her little finger. I think I know what you two are thinking is going on. Now let me tell you what's really going on so we can be on the same page, okay? Diane finally turned to me. First of all, I'm not divorcing Diane. What the hell did that just hit me with? I didn't see anything. Matt, are you okay? Diane, Diane, are you okay? Yes, no, I'm fine. Honey, are you okay? Damn, at least I think it's okay you butted me. What? True, but I don't even know how, oh dear. Oh. Karin, what do you mean, oh? Maddie, I'm sorry. I was just so happy when you said you weren't going to divorce our little darling, you know. I knew it wasn't a question. All they heard was I'm not getting a divorce. So I was so happy, I grabbed you both and pulled Dee's head and slammed her head against yours. And I'm so sorry, Maddie, and God, thank you for not knowing. I love you, you know it. After my vision returned and the pain subsided, I kissed my wife on the lips and kissed Corin on the forehead. Diane looked at me slowly. But you said I was your wife for at least the next 10 minutes when you talked to Marsden, remember Matt? Yes, he did. Would it be better if I said that you are my wife for at least the next 100 years, dear? Yes. Diane fell silent again, collecting her thoughts. Honey, when I went to the toilet, I heard you talking to someone on the phone about how you don't want me to sleep with you today. Do you want us to separate for a while? Diane, no, absolutely not. No breakup, no more questioning, nothing, okay? I thought for a moment. Dear, when you were talking to the Marsdens about going to the club, who were you thinking about? Um, about us, honey. You know, we talked about it, but not seriously. I just thought it might be useful, you know. She fell silent as Karin snorted and looked at Diane as if to say, You've been thinking about it seriously. And you thought that you would go and organize everything without me as a surprise? Definitely not. Nothing without your knowledge or discussion. Dee, when you told me you wanted to sell the car, what were you thinking? About us and the family we'll have someday, Maddie. What about refusing a job? The same thing, about us and our family. What about the spreadsheet program you set up? What? I don't know. So we don't waste money, so we have more money in the bank, so we can save more for us, Maddie? I don't understand what this has to do with our problem or why I can't sleep here with you. Karen chimed in. Honey, this has everything to do with your life. Maddie just told you there is no problem, honey. You are guilty of several mistakes for absolutely the right reasons. When you planned these things, it was not for you. You are not I was thinking about myself. It was for both of you and your family, just like selling your car, giving up your job. You would do these things for both of you and for your family, not for myself, I think now. Is that what you say, Maddie? Yes, darling. So why don't you want me to sleep here? Oh, damn, I almost forgot where my phone is. I need to call Amanda, Karin. You need to replace Tad and bring him here, please, honey. I'll tell you what's going on when I'm done with Amanda. Karin still looked at me like I was crazy, but did it anyway. She also hates being in the dark. I poured some coffee, gave it to John, took Karin's coffee and brought it to her. You would have thought it was the last coffee in the world. Diane and Ted listened to whatever Amanda was explaining, so I left the room without a word. John, perhaps like me, was comfortable in our silence. We could hear a lot of muffled chatter, no laughing, just talking, serious shit. How are you now? Hold on, Matt. I actually feel a little better after meeting that bastard Marsden. Matt, thanks for letting me come with you. You really shouldn't have. But that and what you told him really helped. I saw that idiot shrink before my eyes as you humiliated him. I've had a black cloud over my head for the last month, honestly. It's like looking through tinted glass, and since tonight it's gone, the world is a little brighter. I definitely am. Not there yet, but I feel like I've got my life back a little. The hardest thing for me is what I did to Babs and my kids. I realized when that asshole said that Phillida came to my wife and saw what we destroyed, I almost lost my composure. I felt the urge to go home right then and take everyone in my arms and tell them that everything would be okay now, that I would protect them from everything, that nothing would hurt them again, that I would never leave again. John, what stopped you, from running home to your wife and Babs and your kids? Ted asked me this before he went into the bedroom, and I couldn't understand why, so I've had time to think about it, and I need to say it now. I think I knew all along what it was, but I was so focused on my pain. Matt, I can't go home because I'm ashamed of what I did to Babs and my children. I left them when they needed me the most. Moreover, I abandoned Babs not once, but twice. I allowed that monster to defile her. And then, when she was vulnerable and in pain, when she needed me most, I was not there, and I am responsible for what happened to her. Her now, how can I look my wife in the eye and say I'm sorry? Who's the real monster now, Matt? Do you think your wife hasn't said to herself, probably hundreds of times, how can I look John in the eye and say I'm sorry? We all make mistakes, but what Marsden did wasn't a mistake. This crap about remorse and misunderstanding the situation, what he did was a cold, calculated act that played on Bub's vulnerability. You can only protect against what apparently. Don't underestimate the Phillida and Tyrone Marstons of this world. I guarantee you and Babs weren't the first ones to do it. I'm sure some others liked it, but John, they never gave you a choice. I think I'm done. The next thing that comes out of my mouth will be nonsense. We sat in silence for a long time, maybe 5-10 minutes, I really don't know. I'm happy with the silence. Two silhouettes ran past my chair and wrapped their arms around John's neck, kissing him. That's what was missing, female friends, hehehe. At that moment, I think I became a Christian. Actually, I'm a Christian, just not a very good one. I looked at the doorway and there stood Tad with a stupid smile on his face. He just shrugged and asked, "Do you want a beer, brother?" Yes. Yes, I want to. John, would you like a beer, brother? Yes. Yes, I want to. God. He smiled. No, really, he smiled. I swear I was waiting for him to say I have a plan. Tad returned with our beers. Karen looked at John seriously and told him, "Honey, your wife needs you. Her heart is broken, and she said only you can fix it. We talked to her for quite a long time, and she is holding on to thread. Please, John, give Babs her life back." Diane kissed John on the cheek and said, "Please, John, please make us all happy again. Don't let them win." Okay, Babs said win. Karen said, "Now, John, what do you mean win, men?" Karen was back in command. My wife jumped off her friend's lap and came over, hugging me as she plopped down on my lap. "Please just hold me and never let me go. Tell me you'll love me forever. Say you'll always be here. Please, darling. Tell me I'm important. Please." That's why I said. 10 minutes later, John was packed again and standing in the doorway. There was no pain on his face. It was a stern determination. Hugs from women. Shaking hands for me and Ted. Okay, a handshake and a bear hug for Tad and a handshake and I don't like hugs with men, damn, okay, but just this once, dude. When John left, Karen and Diane pulled me inside and we sat in the chair. Well, actually, Dee pushed me into the chair as she fell on top of me. Karen sat on the sofa, staring first at Dee, then at me. What? Go ahead, tell him. Well, honey, I know you and Amanda planned for me to, stay with Babs for the night and talk, about what's going on and such, and Tad and Karen will explain to Babs that you were talking to John while we were talking to them, and Tad said he thought John was starting to come out of his depression and maybe things were moving forward, honey. I nodded. Well, anyway, Amanda said that while she agreed with you about me staying at Babs and John's for the night, aren't we doing it right now? And she doesn't see the need to drag me out today, even though we all agreed to get together tomorrow, like girls, that means. No, I didn't mean to say that you and Ted can come if you want. Ted and I looked at each other and grinned until we both realized that Karen was giving us dirty looks, so we both put on serious faces. Diane continued. So basically, Tad came up with the idea and said to Amanda and Babs, "You both need to be quiet, okay?" And they both said yes. Well, Bubs said yes, and Amanda asked why, and Tad said he would go into the hallway to hear what we could hear. Both Babs and Amanda sighed, and Tad said hush, or I'll cut you off, so we all slipped out into the hallway to see if we could hear anything. But then we saw you and John just sitting there not saying anything, and Amanda said, "Guys, we're okay, can't hear." And we all sort of sighed in disappointment, and Tad said, "Shut up, or I'll cut you off." So we stood there fidgeting. Tad went into our bedroom to get something and came out and sneaked into the kitchen while Karen went in. "The toilet is irritated, and you just got back, darling." Karen chimed in. "Yeah, I was thinking about just sitting on the toilet and waiting for something to happen and hoping that I'd hear something there. And then I thought, no, I have to do this. I'm lucky I didn't stay. I'd miss the best." Yeah, Karen was just wiping her hands on her jeans when we heard you say something like, "John, what stopped you from, running home to your wife and your kids?" I said, "What stopped you from running home to your wife and Babs and your kids?" Diane continued. "And then when John talked about how he felt ashamed of leaving Babs and his babies, and then he asked you, 'Who's the monster now, honey?' You should have heard Babs cry on the phone. It was the saddest sound I've ever heard." We could hear Amanda talking to Babs in the background. Tad made us go back to the bedroom, and he said, "Shut up, everyone now, or we won't hear anything." And we all screamed yes, and me and Karen pushed him out the door and back into the hallway. We missed part of what you said, and when we came back, all we heard was you saying, "John, you think Babs." Blah, blah, Babs wasn't thinking the same thing. Well, that blew us all up again. It wasn't very nice. Diane had a snot bubble the size of Texas, and I said, "Wah-ah," and popped it with my finger. Damn, I almost spat whiskey right on my wife. I barely managed to spit it back into the glass without choking. I would laugh until it hurt, and then I would look at Diane and Karen and start laughing again. Tad wasn't helping either. Man, that was fucking amazing. It really popped. Karen looked confused and didn't know where to look, and Diane frowned and just sat there with her lips on the edge of her glass, not wanting to look at anyone. I pulled the glass from her hand, turned her face to mine and whispered, "I love you," and kissed her. "You're fucking amazing." Diane said, "Honey, I'm so proud of you tonight. I wish I ever did what I did, and I feel so guilty." "What?" I frowned at her, and she noticed it immediately. Diane asked me, "When did I know you were innocent of anything other than a few dinners? Come on, ask me." It's easy when I tell you that what I did was wrong, right? No, that's wrong. It was when I was sitting in John's car, watching you through the windows. How can it be? Because it was like you went to lunch with one of our friends. What were you drinking? Ice water. And why was that? Because I was driving. I could see that you haven't been drinking, and you don't particularly like liquor. Okay, ask me when I decided that maybe you should go and stay with Babs. Okay, honey, when did you decide it was a good idea to stay with Babs? When I went to tell John in the Valentino parking lot that he was staying with us today, he said that you and I have a lot of conversations, so he won't stay. I told him that he will stay and that you probably won't stay. I didn't tell him where I knew you'd go, but I was sure that when I explained where and why, you'd jump at the opportunity to help Babs and John, and as it turns out, you did just that. I wasn't sure. This was their last pool party while I was away. But if you went there and did something, why would you be at the restaurant tonight? All three of them looked at me as if I had grown another damn head. Diane, you are my wife. I love and trust you completely. You have done nothing wrong, and this conversation is now closed. Tad and Karen looked tired, and I almost fell asleep in Karen's arms when she hugged me. We didn't say anything. We didn't need to. Ted nod and brother. Nothing more. Diane received a big hug from both of them. She curled up in Tad's arms, and I heard him say, "Don't worry, baby. Maddie has you covered. Karen and I are here too. You know that, yes. Diane nodded, large tears rolling down her cheeks. Ted was right. Tomorrow, brother. I picked up the truck keys lying by the cat door. The door closed, and the kitchen lights went out as I felt fingers wrap around my arm, pulling me towards our bedroom. She grabbed both my hands, looking at me closely, and directed me to our bed. She hugged me and held me tightly. The silence was amazing. I woke up around 4 a.m., rushed to the toilet, turned my sleeping wife around, and went. I ran to the bathroom and did my business when I heard her screams. I went back to the bed and picked her up and hugged her again, and we slept even more. In fact, we slept until 9 a.m. Someone was running their fingers over my lips, tickling the bottom of my nose as I opened my eyes, a pair of sparkling emerald green eyes staring back at me. There was a sensual smile on my lips. I kissed them, and then I made love to the body to which they were attached. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one.